if you subscribe to my signal service and you got that buy signal on the Australian dollar, you probably want to think about taking something off the table about right now. As we're approaching the top on the monthly, we've got a momentum top here. Closing prices coming into that window. It's 100 pips from here to here. And this was the retest. And there was a trap on the weekly. This area here was trapping. It was also the support area. If you consider a 100 pip window support, this previous support became, previous resistance became support here for that, fueled that rally. But of course, once again, if the market doesn't retest, it's not a market. If it cannot facilitate trade, if you cannot get people to buy and sell and buy and sell, and sure, occasionally we will take off and go on a run. Occasionally. If you could have counter trend traded this if you believe that was in a downtrend to some degree. So the counter trend trading that went on, just the range trading that went on here made quite a bit of money. There was one big blast. And this is the torturous thing for anybody running a moving average, is that you might as well just forget about it. Because on the monthly, if you put I'm just going to imagine a 20 EMA is going to look something like this, or a 30, or 100, not hundreds. How many pips is this move? How many pips is this? I mean, it's like, right, that just destroys the whole argument of trend trading. Now, are there moments on a 1 hour chart where you're like, yeah, it's in an uptrend and you can see the pullback? Well, here, what would you, this is the monthly. Let's be honest, unless you're too busy to get your platform like but once every 3 months, you're probably going to be able to trade off of this chart. You trade off it. This top becomes a bottom. So as you're trapping, as you're filling up this hole here and trapping on New Zealand, you're getting the killer entry here. So although this moves a lot more pips here, this quite and people are getting out here, mind you. Last known bottom. And all of these 1, 2, 3, 4 pivots, and I mean pivot just what creates a peak or a valley. So if the market's going like this, there's no pivot forming. As soon as it goes like that and it closes, it's stuck. You're stuck with the fact you've created a pivot. So all the pivots are laid in to the chart. It's no secret to anybody that these are, if you connected all of these peaks and valleys and bring them forward, you create a huge window of trading. Oversped the computer there. But it's just, it should be painfully obvious to even the dumbest person. This is the 50-yard line. This is the 50. It's turning on a dime on the 50 in the month. That's a big deal. So when people talk about the big picture, yeah, this isn't an uptrend. You're going to try to buy the pullbacks. Now, if this is the hourly chart, yes, right? But it doesn't mean you couldn't have sold this double top and made just as much money as the so-called trend trader. It's just an illusion that you're making more money. The guy, I just heard the thing today. The guy said, well, it's been proven that 40% of most winning trades are trend trades. No, it's not. It's not proven at all. Why do people believe in these things, these myths? It just blows my mind, because are they saying, well, without trading with a stop and having, wouldn't it really matter where your stop and your take profit was, if that was true? Well, you trade against the trend. Yeah, if you sell into an uptrend and you just don't have a stop and you just stand there. In other words, but they're idealizing the trend. So they're saying if you trade, it doesn't make sense. If 80% of the market's ranging, How can 20% of people, how can trading, trend trading work 20% better than, where'd this come from? I think it comes from the idea that, well, I heard heavy metal music's the latest trend. Okay, well, you better get on it right now, because guess what? If you're the last guy spinning a disco album and they're burning disco albums, of course, disco's never gone away if you like funk. So even the idea of a trend being there. You're living in a world of back and forth, up and down, up and down. Of course, this thing only goes forward. These markets only unfold forward. So, gee, you want to get off the train here maybe? You want to sell and think it's going to come back here? I don't think so. Like, how many times do you think the market can do this? That's another question. Do you really think it could go like this forever and ever? No, because 20%, it's going to trend now. Maybe it has to come back here before it goes for the big run, but, or even the big collapse. But this thing's pissed. This New Zealand, and look at the rejection of this floor right now. If you come back, so this is a structured trade on the monthly. You got all month to plan this, all year to plan these trades out. So if you really are one of these hang in there traders, then this should be painfully obvious what the hell's going on here. 100 pip bottom. Boy, that's a big deal. Gee, but gosh, and forget the wicks. Because if you're a person that's waiting for it to close there, you could not. This is the scalper's trade. That's unavailable to you, although you could see it here from the putting a pending there would have been pure genius, because that's the last known momentum low. And this is momentum you're looking at. This is pure. The yellow line is pure momentum. This is not momentum, these wicks. Those are flash moves. Right? It's not momentum. It's gone. This is like they say at the end of the day. Well, at the end of the month, guess what? Uptrend. Yeah, I could draw a trend line like this. No. Comes back, finds support above there. Yes, all the scalpers right there created that wick. And the liquidity was hit. Look at this, almost came right, like if you were getting in here, you were just like, oh boy. And not to mention the people like, oh, once it takes that out, yeah. Never did. So you're up 400 pips on that. I definitely think about it. And now we're going to go into some more, I'm going to quiet back down, because that move right there is a trend move on, say, X time frame. Then it's going to go choppy. So it's going to go into consolidation. So it's 80% consolidation. It's getting ready to do something, and it does it, and then it's over. Even this, it was getting ready to collapse. But look how long it took to get its, its adjustments in place and actually consolidate here long enough to digest that gigundous. Now, not to mention this move down. This is mind-blowing stuff, pip-wise. I don't think people are ready for that. This here, this doji forms, and from a stop entry standpoint, this is why they're coming up with these numbers. Well, trend traders making all the money. I go, yeah, how often do you see that kind of move? For the most part, it's going to be like this. I can't make any money. I know it's in a downtrend. Why am I getting my ass kicked? Does this look like 80% 20 rule? The 80-20 rule? Yeah, it does. So, sellers should come in here. I mean, if you've made that swing move there on the monthly, I'm not saying it can't just keep pounding north, because it typically will. What'll happen is it may have a little log jam here, but don't forget there's this void to fill. And for the love of Pete and the love of Jesus and whatever is in whatever sun, whatever moon, this was certainly the killer fill right there. And if this thing ever look out. Dollar's going to go through the floor, especially if the economy comes back. There'll be so much money in circulation. Not to mention, you raise minimum wage. So dollars, more destruction here. Now this one, I wouldn't sell this until trying to sell a scalp. I think we could definitely make it chase down these highs here. This thing's brutally in an uptrend. So we just connect the classic dots here. It's nothing, and this was a trend line touch here, entry, right? No brainer. Comes back, finds support. It's uptrend, obviously. Take that line, and then you could copy this and create an envelope. So you could build a channel off of this. You're here. You're at the Andrews pitchfork tine. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits coming up. I have a hell of a time copying that line. So here you're looking for this window to cash out, and this thing's coming into the window. You're about 100 pips from the cash out line. But I mean, if you got out conservatively at this last known bottom inside the top, you're out. You're out, and here you're going to get out right up on this top. A retest of this top, and of course the scalper's paradise up in there. But then it's right. Who knows? Now that's just the monthly, and so you go to the weekly. So you go to the weekly, it's going to be a big mind bender. So I would definitely zoom out before I went to the weekly, and you can just see how carried away you can get in all this minutia. It really depends what time frame. You can't, if you don't have the patience for the monthly. Now you go to the weekly, it looks like a 5-minute chart, for God's sakes. This is the huge issues that people have to endure. And so this was the trap I was talking about when I said to go long, is because I was looking at this, buying this new low here, this whole area, all the way to here. In fact, no fill there. Look at the doji carried forward, but you fill up your whole trading account here. And if you're out of that trader, you're cashing out up into this ledge here right now. Same thing here. You bought all into this. And that was just like this trap trade. Tons of money on the trap. Now this is really close to the trap, so I would sell up here for the scalp raiders. Selling all the way up in here to play the scalp game. And look at the weekly scalp game. So if you think that you're going to make money from this move, like how many trends are on here? It shouldn't take much. You don't need a percentage gauge, I don't think, to gauge the swings here. The most violent moves are here. Then you have congestion, bam, and literally turn around and then just pure congestion. I'm going to say everything from here to here would have destroyed any trend bot. These two moves, blistering, classic, Izzy Wango or Z Tango. But this, I'm sorry, that's not a trend, because your trend bot would have gotten stomped here. You got ranged to death. Besides, you locked up margin for 2 months. You locked up margin in that. Now, you got to swing trade that. You got to be like, okay, I'm buying here to get to here, and it's very bipolar. You're selling now for it to come back to here. So anyways, that's the Australia, New Zealand. We're coming into the sell territory. Obviously, always coming into something. When we were coming down, we were coming into the buy zone. Here we're coming into the sell zone. And what are people going to tell you? Well, it was in a downtrend, can't you see? How would that even matter? You know, once you get that crap out of your head, this trend trading, trend continuation traders. What do you do for a living? Well, I'm a trend continuation, you know. What? This is the same, This was supposed to go to the moon according to conventional wisdom. Right? Everybody had their channel like this. Oh, look at, man. And this is where everybody bought, right? Look at that perfect channel. Oh, really? How'd that work out for you? No. So you can totally project your view of the trend on here, not to mention the people that had this view of the trend. Oh, yeah. There was that view of the trend. There was this one. And then there was this one, which coincided with the people with the longer term trend. Then you have the trend traders looking at the downtrend. Of course, their dreams were dashed here. Then here is the long moving average, or the long trend line. But now you're coming into that, but you're just coming into it horizontally anyways. Look at the weekly hopes and dreams. Trend line. Breaks over it. People are like, oh yeah, I'm buying at this pullback. And they're right. They're right for a little bit. And then, whoopsie daisy. Look at that. Because maybe it has more to do with this. Always horizontal trading. Maybe it has more to do with double bottom becomes a double top, becomes a... Because the market has no view of the momentum. That's something you're deciding based on the time frame you're slicing the frames at. So if you compress this whole chart out, if you just kept hitting the zoom out key, so the market only sees price from a price level. It's just price. Look at this trap down here. Coming into this area. This whole area. Wow. Boy, there's a couple pips. So yeah, that's and it's just, look at this nonsense. Yeah, is this a trend? Now this is a trend that went on for a very, very short duration. If you had the ability to ride this move, I think you cleaned up. You just kept holding that short? Are you kidding me? Now, if you had some sight to see that it was filling up a hole, there's a hole fill. Here's a nice but look at 80%. Before the party gets started, 80%. Now you'll see that on a 5-minute. You'll see that whatever time frame you're on. If you have a strategy to make money during this phase, and you also have a strategy that makes money for this. I mean, when I say strategy, I mean tactics. Strategy is so stupid to say. What's your trading strategy? Oh, make money. Some of these terms just kind of crack you up after a while. Like if you're really thinking about it again and again, over and over, all the catchphrases and all of it, you know, it was that easy, everybody do it. No, it is easy, but nobody wants to do it because it's too much work. It is easy. Trading, in fact, trading can be easier. You just hit the button, or you just place the order. But it's like, where do you place the order? But if you sell low, you have to buy back lower. You're really in a trend. But if trends only last, if the trends are only 20% of the time, you need another strategy called buy low, sell high, and sell high, buy low. That is the range trader's strategy. The trend trader's strategy is buy high and sell higher, buy low. I mean, sell low and buy back lower, or buy high and sell higher. So if you buy high and sell higher, you're going with that burst. But if these bursts only last 20% of the time, you're very looking over your shoulder to say, am I in a temporary situation, or am I really in this stupid trend trade? Now, the trend traders are locking up a lot of margin, and they may make more pips over the end because the guy that doesn't know how to range trades over trading the account, he's blowing it up. And that's another statistic is not laid into that. It's just like these isolated statistics that are floating up, just floating in the middle of nowhere without any anchor to reality of what is that really true? Is it really true in the real world with real numbers? Like if I was one of these with these Uber drivers, can I really survive that without getting beat up by my patrons? We had somebody over here in town. The guy didn't like the Uber driver didn't think that the passengers were respectable for his ride wasn't he didn't have a high-end ride, so he thought they were disrespecting, or is that even proper grammar? Disrespecting. There's something wrong there. Disrespecting his ride, and the guy just took a knife to him, A big fight, big drama. Pretty funny stuff, but anyways, that's my view of the ridiculous currency market. And look where we're at right now. Who's buying here? Are you nuts? You could have scalped that and be up 10 pips right now off of this bottom. And the weekly now, if you look at the market like this vertically, all of a sudden, there is no trend. There's another reason why, if your scalper's view of the world is this, and you can see all the top bottom on the weekly, very easy when you're looking at this. You can see into the craziness. Look at these areas. I mean, look at all of these. Man, what a battle zone. And you could even draw the trend, the confluence there. And look at very popular price turning points. Look at this bottom become a top. In time. On the clock. This would have blown your account up. But what if you sold that and you had a wide enough stop? Weekly chart, of course, right? But you don't have to. You could scalp these moves on the... So if you take this to how many pips you're trying to make now, that's 500 pips. So you really going to make 500 pips tonight? Probably not. So you'd take it to here. You'd find how many pips you want to make. Maybe you want to make 30 pips. So you can only trade where the market's at right now. You find about a 30 pip window here. Oh, there's about 50 pips right there. So maybe zoom out a bit. Now, I don't think a lot of people could trade like this, but the scalper's view is this. If you go to the daily chart, you can see the painfully obvious scalp that you just would have sold this top. This uncharted water here. 10 pip window. Uncharted water up here. You're up on that scalp today. Scalp in the edge of the day. Just like the scalp on the any currency. So that's the edge. Sadly, the edge in trading is trading on the edge. Trading at the edge of the market. That is, they say you need an edge in trading. I'd say the edge in trading is to trade the edge of the market. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you're selling up here on the edge. That's my edge. That's my edge. Here's a nice top bottom. Nice top bottom on the daily. They stop out by 5 pips here. You're getting in at the edge of the market. The previous day, that's the daily chart. You see what I'm saying? This is a 10 pip window to make 40 pips today. That's the edge. Getting in at the edge. Look at that. The market's just handing you money. But you can't see the forest for the trees. You can't see the forest for the, you can't see the fib for the forest. People put fib tools on this stuff. That's why I completely come unwrapped when I see people use a fib tool. A removing average. The market is not that complicated. You don't need that stuff. Look at this 2 pip stop out on the daily. Look at this come back into the top bottom. So even if you miss this entry here, buying new lows to dump here, come back top bottom. No comeback here, no fill. Top bottom fill. There's the trap. Now, the people that traded that trap made money. As you can see, if they held through that, yes, great trade. So you have to breathe with the market. And you have to go with the thrills and spills. And you got to know when the counter trend trade's over. You got to know when the trend is over. And you can't be upset that you didn't ride the market for this 400 pip ride, because if you're making $1 million a year trading a high probability, like this runs here, and you just, in other words, you get in here and it goes to here, and you just bail because you got a retest, and you get back in, and you don't even trade these counter trend trades, and you didn't even hold through that, you're making money, right? If you just made 80 pips today with a 20 pip stop, and you just waited all day for that to play out, you're doing fine. Right? You just don't want to look at this whole chart and say, man, I wish I could. But if you're not that person that can wait through that move, look at this, how many days down here. And this is right when I opened up that demo, I think, was during this phase here, and I said, you've got to buy this now. I didn't have the patience for this either. But this whole smash down now, you could have got on the 4-hour train here, but pretty tough. And this was the buy that's supposed to hold. They just sheared that off. But even if you bought here at this double bottom, how do you like the trade now? If you bought that double bottom, you know, you crapped your pants here, but you have to have a wide enough stop. So if you have a 150 pip stop, you made 200 pips. Okay, Australia, New Zealand. That is the story. I'm sticking to it. I'm a buy low, sell high guy, so I'll be selling up here. Pepper some limits up here indiscriminately. Doesn't matter. Whatever you can afford. And then here's same thing. Start selling here for a kickback maybe tomorrow. And of course, maybe this is it. Lights out. I think we could still nudge up into this. And of course, always buying down here if it comes back ever to here. But that's a long, long way away. And more money to be made off of the high probability micro moves than there is to get a end of the week here. Tomorrow you come into here, you probably stall out in here and be some choppy nonsense. Who knows?